many cities and states around this country, and really throughout North America, all throughout Canada as well, but specifically in this country, states, anti-Second Amendment cities and states have doubled down on anti-Second Amendment illegal, non-constitutional laws. And the problem with this, outside of its illegal and outside of its suppression of its citizens and outside of its anti-constitutional, outside of that, the biggest danger is that it restricts people's natural God-given right to defend their life and the life of their family. And you might say, well, wait a second, some of these cities like LA, New York, Chicago, they're very strict, of course, but the amount of guns going into that city is really ridiculous, because what we're seeing, let me just give you a couple examples. Recently, a group of 6 people were operating from buying firearms in the US and then selling them in Toronto, and all that they were selling were all Glocks. They were just selling Glocks because they can buy a Glock for $600 to $800, and then they can sell it on the streets for $5,000 to $6,000. So there, of course, there's hundreds of Glocks going to Canada, hundreds of Glocks going to New York City, LA, Chicago, all over the place. Now, where are all these guns coming from? Because we recently reported just a little over a month ago on how many of those guns were going to Chicago, the streets of Chicago. Because what the reality is the cities with the strictest gun laws have by far the highest gun crime, because people are willing to throw out $5,000 to $6,000 to get their hands on a Glock. And those are the criminals. These are the ones committing the violent gun crime. So, recently again, lots of Glocks going to Canada. They're all going to Chicago. They're all going to New York, LA. Hello, people. This is something that we just have to wake up to, because this assault on our Second Amendment rights is really making it significantly more dangerous just to raise your family in many cities across the U.S. and all over North America. Gun crime in New York City and L.A. and Chicago and Toronto is higher now than any of those cities and their citizens have ever seen before. And they're much higher than like cities that have very pro-Second Amendment laws, because criminals are humans, and as foolish as they may be to choose the path of a criminal, they still have wisdom of a human, and they get that, wait a second, the easiest place to commit crime is where the citizens are not armed. The safest place to commit crime is where the citizens aren't armed. So they go to places like New York, Chicago, Toronto, LA, and they commit gun crime because they can go pick up a great handgun that the other citizens cannot own without being a felon, and they can go pick one up for $4,000 to $6,000. There you go. That's all it took. And these people are selling so many of them. The sheer volume of illegal guns going to anti-Second Amendment cities is astonishing. It's astonishing. And the sad thing is that the ATF and Canadian officials are like boasting about how proud they are to be able to stop these guns. When they got 62 guns going to Toronto. I'm sure these people have sold a lot more than 62 guns, but they're acting like, oh, look at us. We stopped 62 guns from going to Toronto. There's hundreds of thousands of guns in Toronto. Most of them are illegal, and then you go to New York City, millions, LA millions, Chicago millions of guns. I don't know, but they sure pop up in gun crime every single day. So I don't know what else to really say about it, but this is the part that worries me the most, because people that live in LA and New York and Chicago, they're still Americans. I couldn't imagine trying to walk my family into a park or something in one of those cities. I couldn't imagine it. And not being armed and knowing that these people that I see around me, some of them are armed, and they're looking for targets. It's really astonishing. You know, what do you do about it? We just have to keep going to court, I suppose, because there's going to be a day, you know. Constitutional carry was opened up this year, and that is a beautiful thing. But then the cities and states just start doubling down. Well, then you can't own this, and you got to have a permit, and you got to have this, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. You know, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Any thoughts or insight on any of that, especially those illegal guns going to Toronto, New York City, Chicago, LA, any of that, put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.